welcome back to another episode of On The Box. It's been over a year, mate.
It's good to be back, innit?
It's so good, man. It's just been so hard to just sit on your hands and do nothing. We've all been through it.
Yeah.
We finally got the release from the government. We're free. Now we get to put on the show that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, man. I can't wait. And it just shows as well how excited everyone is because we sold out with 4 weeks to go.
Crazy.
It's mad.
But I think it's one of those things, everyone's so eager to get back to normal. You know, we're excited. We've been working extremely hard behind the scenes to keep everything in line with the government, keep everything on track. We wanted to come out earlier and, we were always trying to think of ways to keep the show going. And it just so happens that timing has been on our side this time, and we've actually got the ability to now put on the show the way we want, keep that victory style moving forward.
And be true to what we always set out to do, because obviously we was looking at different angles where we could pull it off within lockdown and with the restrictions, but I think we've done the right thing in the end. We waited it out. The weather's nice, the sun's shining, people are training hard. And I just think there's a good vibe, and people, like you say, they're ready to crack on.
Yeah.
So the fighters are chomping at the bit, and that's the important part.
I think it's good now that fighters have actually had the ability to have good training camps.
Yeah, that's the important thing, because when we was looking at doing the show previously, I can't remember where we was at in terms of lockdown, but some clubs were still operating. They've been given the permission from their local council to continue training. My lot, we weren't given the permission. We couldn't open for our fighters. I only wanted to open for my fighters that were competing on the show, just so I could make sure that they were fit and ready, and it was safe enough to put them in the ring. So obviously we made the decision to move the show back, and now it's given everyone a chance to get back training fully, get a proper 6 to 8 week training camp in, which in my opinion is vital for these shows, because these shows are going online. Everyone's going to see it. We've got a big following. Yeah. You don't want to be turning up. I mean, respect to those who do step in. Obviously, we get some last minute step-ins and they smash it.
Yeah, first show back, big show. Everyone's eager. I said it's sold out in. I can't wait to say it's sold out in minutes. That's what it feels like. Yeah. It feels like this is the first time where we've actually had to tell people we can't get tickets.
No, literally. I've had people pull out on this show because I couldn't give them tickets. They got back to me too late with the numbers they needed, and and they were like, well, if I can't, which I understand as well. I mean, end of the day, we're there to compete, or the fighters are. So it's a shame, but we've had to cap the number. I mean, originally we wanted 20 fights. We're only having 14 now because of this sold out event, and we just can't. We can't keep people happy by giving them tickets to sell to their friends and family. So, needs must.
Yep. And everything's on track for it to be a good show. But I want to get into the fights because I've been so busy in the background. Yeah. I haven't been as involved in knowing who's fighting and whatnot. So this is quite good for me because I get to experience it. I'm trying to experience the show a bit more. After the last show, I kind of got to sit down and watch some of the fights. Yeah. And now I want to kind of get the background on some of the fighters. I know some of them that are fighting on the show who I've seen before. Yeah. But it'd be good to get your perspective as matchmaker of the top fights that we need to be looking out for.
Yeah, see, we obviously switch up roles a little bit. I get excited about this part of the build-up because I know what fights are matched and which ones are going to be class, and as they all will be. Whereas, but on the night, I don't get to sit down and watch it because obviously I've got fighters competing on the show, so I'm behind the scenes getting my fighters ready for their fights. Like you say, most of your work's done by that point, and you can sit down and enjoy it. I mean, I love to do that, but it is what it is. Oh mate, I get goosebumps just talking about. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about some of the fights now. I'm not even joking. Obviously, number one we've got to talk about was likely to be our main event: Blaine Wilson versus Taylor Rogers. So Taylor obviously has fought on all of our shows, every single show, and he's always put on fight of the night type performances. Yep. He's a fan favourite. Anyone who follows Victory, they love him. Yeah, because he just lays it all on the line and he just really goes for it. Taylor's been training with a new club because his original coach Graham moved to Italy. So his club obviously closed because he moved away. So Taylor's got a new coach, a new team around him, a very, very good team around him. He trains with the same club that Arnold Allen, the UFC fighter, trains at.
Nice.
Yeah, so you best believe he's getting some good sparring in for this one. And then obviously Blaine Wilson is probably the best in the country, if not one of the best in the world at that weight. Yeah. There's no title on the line, it's a 3-round fight. Taylor has got every reason to go out there and give it his all. And Blaine is looking sharp as ever. I went up there and see him sparring a couple of weeks ago with some of my team, and oh man, he's just looking sharp as ever. I mean, he's obviously got a fantastic team around him at the Combat Academy. Yeah, man, that fight, I don't even know. Like, I just want to leave it out there and just say, look, just let me shut up and you guys just enjoy it.
The thing is, with both those fighters, they are easily world-class potential fighters.
Yeah, 100%. And Blaine's already there, and Taylor's knocking on the door. Right. And the thing is, as well, like, this is both their debut at adult level. Right. So they were obviously coming up through their teens, smashing it, and now this is their first bout under adult level. Head guards are off, you know, that sort of thing. So, like, will the pressure get to either of them? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think it won't. I think they're both cracking fighters, and they're going to go on to be phenomenal professionals when they go down that route.
Yeah, well, I think both of those fighters, from what I've seen, obviously Taylor's probably one of my favourite fighters. Yeah. Because he always delivers. He always puts his best forward. He goes in there to win, you know, and so that's what I know, you know, and that's what I love about the kid. Yeah. He's always going forward. But then I've seen Blaine fight some spectacular fights, so technical. So it is that kind of, will Taylor be more technical, or will he come in just super aggressive and be too much for Blaine? Or Blaine be able to just be navigating, just be able to pick his shots and work through. This for me would easily be a title fight. It would easily be like 100%. A high ranked fight, and it's worthy of everyone sitting down and watching, myself included. I can't wait, front row.
That's obviously, that being fight of the night. Hopefully, all of my fights will be over. All my guys who are competing will have had their fights by that point, and I'm looking forward to
we might actually be able to sit down.
We might actually be able to sit down together and watch the main event. Yeah, because probably my lads have headlined for the last few, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, it's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to that. So the next one to look forward to, again, one of my guys, Mantas Castiglionis. Obviously, he headlined the last event. He won a Southern Area title, ISKA Southern Area. It actually goes under semi-pro, because under ISKA, fighting without head guard, you're semi-pro. But this one, we're sanctioned by the WKO for this event, so it will still be classed as amateur. And Mantas is coming up against a fantastic fighter in Donnard, who I know you've seen before. Yeah. He's competed on a few other circuits, and he's knocking on the door as a pro. Like, he's ready to go. Obviously, with COVID and all that, he probably wants this amateur fight, or this fight under amateur rules, and then he'll probably turn back over. That's if Mantas, my lad, don't obviously do something about that and don't give him the result he wants.
Thing is with Mantas, he's such an underrated. He's under the radar every single fight, but people don't realise, like, he stops most of his opponents. Yeah, you know, and he's a very aggressive, very strong fighter. Yeah. You know, from what I've seen of Donnard over the years, you know, he's a go-getter. He will keep going. He'll graft. He won't stop. You know, it'll take a lot for you to put him down and for him to kind of. I've never seen him quit I watched him in the cage, so like I've never seen him quit in the cage. Like, he's always going forward, and he's what I class as an active fighter. Yeah. So like, if he has his way, every time he can get an opportunity to fight on the show, he will fight on the show. Yeah. So I definitely see it as being a kind of. It's good because they both got to kind of blow the rust off, as it were. Well, everyone has for this show. So, everyone has.
So Dom's more experienced. Dom is actually coming off the back of a loss. I think so anyway. Quite a bad loss. I believe it was a knockout. So obviously he's now looking to cement his place again as one of the top boys in the country. Now, Al Mantas is coming through. For me, and I've told Al Mantas this, if he wins this fight, he's now en route for over the next course of, 5 fights, then we'll look to turn him over as a professional. He's at that level now. You watch Al Mantas, he's not the most technical, he's not the most naturally gifted, but mate, he's the fittest lad in my gym by a country mile, mate. He just goes and goes. He wins every sprint race we do.
Yeah.
He wins every press up competition we do. Do you know what I mean? He's just banging out PBs on everything. He's just really smashing everyone in that sense. So, and it's just so many fights. He's one of them people. He fights better than he spars. He's always in wars in sparring. But when he fights, mate, it's just one-sided where he just comes with a pace and a volume that no one can deal with. He's now 8 wins, 1 loss. The 1 loss was early on in his record, and that came from that was just a tournament. We was at a tournament, so it wasn't fully prepped. You know, it wasn't a fight that we was aiming for. We wasn't prepping for. So his loss unfortunately came in that, but. You know,
when it counts,
mate. When it's in front of that crowd, mate, he's a hard man to beat. Very hard man to beat. Okay, so the next one I'm really looking forward to seeing is Josh Walton versus Alfie Lynch. Alfie Lynch again is a fan favourite. Obviously, always brings a big crowd.
Always brings a big crowd.
Always brings a good crowd. And Alfie's very much known as skillful and technical. But you're going to see a different Alfie for this one. He's stopping people in sparring. He's now a man.
Oh, really?
He's now a man. It's his first adult bout. He's now a proper man. He's strong. The weight is 3 kilos heavier than he's used to fighting at.
Yeah.
And he just looks every bit of that 3 kilos stronger.
And I think that's what you got to remember. We've been doing this show now for a couple of years, and it's like we've been watching these fighters as kids, like fighting,
exactly,
they're now getting into their stride when they are getting into that adulthood, and
that's exactly
things change and. Can they elevate their game even more? Can this bit of time off where you've been able to either focus, could it either bring you up or could it bring you down? Could you lose your momentum? There's so many unknowns in this fight that it's almost going to be hard to look at each fighter the same as we did a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and then particularly this matches up really well because Josh Walton, from what I've seen of him, is a fantastic lad. He's beat convincingly some of the lads that Alfie's fought before. And he's coming from a great club and a great coach in Paul Gilmore. These guys are coming down from the Midlands. Any club that comes from the Midlands and they're on a competitive circuit, mate, they're bringing it because it's such a competitive circuit around the Midlands. There's so many good clubs. Like to break through there, you've really got to be something special. So this kid is good and he's strong and he's tall. And the thing is, what's quite cool about this fight is they both come from a full contact kickboxing background. Right. I think Alfie's been competing under K1 rules a little bit longer than Josh. So it's going to be interesting to see how the styles match up.
And Alfie did, as soon as he changed from kickboxing to K1, his fights felt more comfortable from what I could see as a spectator. Right. He was more comfortable in there. He could move around more freely, and he was more convincing in his wins when he did switch to K1. So for me, I know how confident Alfie can be, when he's on his game, and when he's going full force. The fact that he's got that little bit of an edge of having that K1 experience, I think that's enough for him to have that confidence of, being bigger, being stronger, feeling on point, and just getting in there. And he's been in there so many times now.
He's been in there with the best kids in the country.
Home show, so it would be good for him to just be comfortable in there and see what he can do. I've not seen his opponent. Any tape on his opponent, so I like that. Sometimes I do so much research and I do so much looking up for content and for shows and stuff that you almost get an idea. Sometimes it's nice just not to know and just be I want to see what happens.
People are going to be really surprised by Josh. From what I've seen, the club aren't massive on the social media side of things, so they're probably not as out there. But Josh Walton, believe me, he's a quality fighter, and this is. In my opinion, this is Alfie's biggest test to date. And again, another one of my lads who's got an extremely hard fight. as I always match him. And if he beats this lad, then again, he's cemented himself as one of the top boys in the country. And the same for Josh as well. If Josh comes out with a win over Alfie, then he knows he's put in a shift and he deserves to be where he is. So I'm looking forward to see how both these boys progress after this fight. They both deserve recognition because of the effort and the work they put into this leading up to this, but also the people they've beat along the way. They deserve every bit of recognition. So that is definitely one to look out for, and maybe one that's not been talked about as much. Okay, so moving on to the next one to get excited about. Before I do that, I just want to state that all of these fights are worthy of fighter of the night. Like, these bouts are going to be fantastic. And I think it's not something we usually do, but I think we should look at doing a little package that we could send out to the fight, the two that make the fight of the night. I've not spoke to you about this, so, I'm bringing this up right now. But I'm just so proud of this card. Like, it's really going to be something special, and I think anyone who stands out as the best fight of the night, I don't know, man, we should send them a little package of something like some gloves and things like that if we can, because obviously we've got our own brand gloves now that we can
give them a little bonus package.
Yeah, man, they really deserve it. So, okay, so moving on, so we've got Gassan Gangra versus Otis Waghorn. Now, oh man, I spoke about this fight the other day. Again, another one. Like, Gassan is looking strong, really strong. Another one I see sparring recently. Coming forward, brilliant movement, strong punches, kicks obviously sharp as ever. And Otis, coming from a Taekwondo background, he's got some real nice flashy kicks. Right. You're probably going to see a different Otis for this one. So Otis is long and rangy. Gassan's a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact. Yeah. Again, man, this fight is just going to be fireworks. So this is just purely in my opinion. I don't know how the coaches are preparing them for this fight, what their tactics are. I've not spoken about it to any of them. So for me, if Gassan gets in close, works the body, and doesn't give Otis room to kick, then it's going to be a hard night for Otis. If Otis can dominate his strength straight away, get to that centre of the ring, keep Gassan working on the outside, strong with the kicks, strong with the long straight punches, I think it's going to be a hard night for Gassan to work his way in.
Well, Gassan does pack a punch. You know, like he stops his opponents with liver shots. He's put people out on our show.
He's formidable. He's another one of the best in the world.
He's definitely. But the thing with Gassan is, like, he's got that characteristics of a love or hate. He's like a Marmite type of fighter. Like, his confidence is through the roof. Like, I've never seen anyone so young, so sure, like, so dead sure of what's going to happen when he gets in there. Like,
he's a cool kid. He's got lots of charisma.
Like, and it's that confidence that is key, really. Like, because it's enough to put your opponent off. You know, when you're standing there with someone that's so sure of it. That's it. You know, if you have that little bit of doubt, he's going to start breaking you down bit by bit. Obviously, again, his opponent, I've not seen any tape on him. I tried to look up because I wanted to see, like, but it's funny.
You'll like this kid though. He's a strong kid, but he brings excitement to the ring as well. Yeah, he really does. Like, you're gonna see kicks you've probably never seen before. Do you know what I mean? But
what I love is that, like, with Gassan, Blaine, and Taylor, like, with just those three alone, just those. If they were just the only three fights I had to watch, I know that they're guaranteed fights that you're gonna look at and be like, this is gonna be the one. And the fact that the card's still so stacked with fights and fights that we can't even talk about
today, but I wish I could. And the amazing thing about it is they're both, again, coming from fantastic clubs. Obviously, Gassan coming from Combat Academy, the same as Blaine Wilson. So there's a pairing there. Yeah, you know, it's a recipe for disaster for everyone else. And Otis coming from Lewis Pierce's gym, Assassin's gym, which is just, again, another club that just turns out fantastic fighters. They brought the lad who fought Taylor Rogers in his last fight on our show. So you know what they're bringing to the table as well. They're always game. And again, without sounding like I'm just bigging up our show too much, that fight is just something worth watching, mate. It's just, if people can't be there on a night, they need to be visiting our YouTube channel after, or waiting for the live stream that you put out on Facebook to make sure they can see that fight alone. I mean, like, individually, these fights are worth watching. They really, really are. Okay, so following up from that one, we've got Marley Davies, another one of my lads who was bursting onto the scene. So me and Marley, we've obviously spoke about this fight before. It's on one of the previous, on the boxes we did for the show that never went ahead, the first original one in March.
Because he was originally booked for that one.
Yeah, this fight's been matched for ages. These boys are chomping at the bit to fight each other. Nice. I see little clips, I see little comments from Jordan on the victory page, and like when I see him come up in his story saying like enough talking. I don't know who he's aiming at because I've not seen Marley do any talk, but yeah, them two obviously chomping at a bit to fight each other, which is great to see. So Jordan Harewood, again, a phenomenal fighter in his own right. He's got a good record. I think he's 4 wins, 1 loss. He's coming from a Muay Thai based gym under Lewis Taylor.
Right.
Great club. Obviously, we've had Sheridan Taylor fight on the show before, so you know what them boys are bringing. Good and strong. He's tall. He's rangy. The Thai lads are always tough. Very, very.
It's a tough club as well.
Yeah, it's a very tough club. You know they're bringing it. And obviously, Marley has a good bit of experience as a junior from years and years ago. Me and him used to compete for the same club, as I said before, the Combat Kickboxing Academy, and under kickboxing rules. And then since then he's went off, he's trained at a few various places, not really competed, maybe done an inter-club somewhere along the line, become an adult in that time and things like that. Then come and started training with us and me, and since then he's fully now looking like a K1 fighter. So
did he do K1 before, or was it
full contact kickboxing?
Full contact kickboxing, okay.
Yeah, so now he's fully looking like a K1 fighter. As I say, he did Thai boxing, a gap in between that. Or he's training Thai boxing, so you know he's got that good mix.
So he's itching to get back in
the
ring
he's
as well.
He's itching, man, and like he's sharp. Like there's a little clip circulating at the minute that I spoke on an interview I did the other day. I've been taking my guys up and down the country to various clubs for sparring. We've been up to the Combat Academy in Barnsley. He was sparring with the likes of Gassan and people like that. And then we went down to Southend, Southend Combat Academy, where there was like 64 fighters just sparring and
what in the
yeah.
Wow.
And then there was like pros mixing it with them, and I mean, I'm proud of all my guys that day. They turned up and they smashed it, and like both times, both coaches come up to me and was like, mate, I said, that ginger lad, they're like, I love him. I love his movement, I love his style. And he's exciting, man. Like, he's passionate, he fights with his heart on his sleeve, bringing a big crowd, massive crowd. Obviously, he's a local boy. So him and Jordan, they're going to put on a good show for us. I know they are. It's going to be one of skill, it's going to be one of a bit more authenticity from Jordan to his Thai style, and then you're going to see a bit of mixing up from Marley, who can flick between the styles really, and just be a typical K1 fighter, a hybrid fighter who's going to bring it with good boxing, good kicks and that. So again, they're chomping at the bit. I'm going to let them boys do the talking. You're going to see them two put together. Yeah, exactly.
So with those being like the top 5 fights to look out for, I know we've got loads more fights on that card that would easily make the top 5. Like, what would be your, the ones that we may not be able to talk about in great detail, but the fights that you may look at and go, you need to be sitting at the table, or you'd be ready to watch that fight as it comes up. Is there any that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, we got one female fight on the card, and these girls, sorry, they're class, man. We've got McKenna Wade, who's an experienced young kickboxer. She's freshly turned 18. She's game as anything. She's always tagging us in stuff on the victory page. She wants to be out there. She wants to make a name for herself, and she's coming from a fantastic gym, Millennium Gym in, I think they're up near Newcastle.
Right.
Tony Cunningham is the coach. Great guy. I've enjoyed dealing with him leading up to this event. He puts on some fantastic shows himself, so he's a promoter as well, and he really knows his stuff. He's got some fantastic pros, so she's training with some good guys. And she's coming up against Hadika Abdul with Dale Palmer. as her coach, and Hadika is older.
Right.
She's chomping at the bit to become pro.
Right.
She's probably ready. I mean, but with COVID, everyone's sort of held off. So you've got McKenna, who's looking to make a name for herself. Again, another one who's looking to make a name for herself, and a really, really experienced junior, or from a junior background, obviously, coming up against Hadika Abdul, who is already there and kind of cemented her place at where she's at. Again, really enjoyed dealing with her coach Dale, nice guy, and I'm just excited for that fight. It's one that probably hasn't had as many mentions. So that would be my wild card. That'd be the one that I'm secretly expecting to be fireworks, and I wouldn't be surprised if it come off as fight of the night, because we've always had some good girl fights, man. They just go for it, don't they?
But I think we've always said with this show, we always wanted to kind of be the platform, the next step between amateur going pro, you know, and not be like most where you kind of go, right, we'll just focus on the pro fights, and then the amateurs get left a little bit behind. We've always wanted to be the best amateur show, bringing up these fighters. So it's so nice now to be in a position where fighters who are on the edge of going to that pro level, they want to make their mark on our show, and they want to kind of like have that big spotlight, because if you do really well on our show, you're going to build a fantastic highlight reel, of quality footage that you can kind of move forward and say, look, I'm the real deal. You know,
that's it, and we're quite happy being a stepping stone, aren't we?
Yeah.
To be honest, that's what we want. That's what we want to be. We want to be the amateur show that amateurs want to fight on, because they know they're going to get their name thrown out there. They're going to get us talking about them on our podcast, and then they're going to see themselves under the lights on a YouTube channel that gets plenty of attention. And then they know at some point when they're ready to go pro that they've built a bit of traction with them. They've got a bit of a following. They've got used to the lights, and they're ready to take them shin guards off and become professionals. Yeah. Okay, so obviously we can't talk about everyone today. We're limited in time.
Yeah.
However, there is some fantastic other fights on the card to get excited about. I beg that everybody stays and watches the whole card if you can.
I think most people do. I think the way we've had historically, you know, we don't get people leaving because we do try and put on good shows. We do try and promote the fighters and stuff. But like, there's definitely fights that people overlook, don't realise, and after the fact they go, wow, that was an amazing fight. I've sat at tables and they're like, I wasn't even going to watch that, and it's
that's right.
It was fireworks.
Something happens,
especially with the younger lads as well. You know, like you know when Jack Carter was fighting, a lot of people was like, oh, it's a kids' fight. They didn't realise how much fireworks that was going to be so early on in the night as well.
We've got some youngsters on the card around the age of 14 that again are experienced, and they're so technical, they're so class, and they deserve everyone's attention when they step in that ring, because these guys, they're going to put on some better technical display than some of the adults. I'm telling you now. Like you say, the likes of Jack Carter, Alfie Baker, Finley Wardell, obviously Max Walker, and his opponent, which I struggle to say his name, so I'm really, really sorry about that, but his first name's Mantas, and his last name is Paleokrasis. So I apologise if I got that wrong, but him coming from TKO Elite, obviously Colin Payne's gym, so you know he's going to be class. And Max coming from my gym, again, being biased, you know he's going to be good, he's going to be strong. These guys are game. They're worth the ticket money alone. Even if we didn't have these experienced top 5 fighters on there, you know, these guys are worth the ticket money. And they're all bringing good crowds with them. Everyone sold tickets for this one. There's no one turning up that's not sold tickets.
I love it, and I feel like it's fight week now. All the work's done. We've got freedom. We'll still have some kind of, you know, things in place. Like we'll advise you to wear a mask, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You know, like we'll try and maintain social distance, but again, we just want everyone to be safe. We want the show to continue, and we want the show to continue moving forward as well.
For those that are extra worried, there will be an optional upgrade for waitress service to the table. So if people don't want to stand up and leave their tables too much, don't want to mix with the different crowds, then you can remain seated at your table. You can scan the barcode that's on your table. I think it's £5 per head, so 50 quid per table to upgrade. You'll have drinks brought to you all night. So yeah, so we're putting things in place to make people feel comfortable as well, even though the restrictions have lifted. As you said, masks are optional. There'll be hand sanitizer everywhere. There'll be ventilation. The doors will be open anyway because of how warm it is at the moment. So we're doing our part, and I just want everybody to have a great night. From the fighters to the coaches to the ref to the doctors, everyone who's coming down to be a part of this event, I just want to say a massive thank you, and I know you do as well. The volunteers that be helping us on the night, it really means a lot to us that everyone's stuck by us through the pandemic. It
does.
We've done our bit to keep the show alive, and we just want everyone to go out and have a great night on the 31st of July.
Yeah, 100%. So that's another episode done. Make sure to follow us on all our social media. We'll try and we always do our live stream a week or two after the show. So that will go out on our Facebook or YouTube or both.
And obviously that's the whole event.
And that's the whole event. We do that whole event, and then we'll individually separate all the fights. So make sure to follow us on all those platforms so you stay up to date. Stay on our Instagram. We'll have someone managing our Instagram on the night, hopefully.
Yeah.
So there'll be content on there. If you don't have tickets, keep an eye out on our Instagram. If any tickets do become available, we'll be posting them there on our Instagram stories, and it'll be first come, first serve. So if you don't have a ticket yet, there may be a possibility of getting some on the night. But you have to stick to our Instagram to find out more on that. Other than that, it's fight week. I'm now gonna go get the van, get all my stuff, and I'll see you at the show, mate.
See you there, mate.